Hi everyone, and welcome to Demonology. Demonology is an exciting ghost hunting game where you work by yourself or with others to complete objectives and identify the ghost each round, all while trying to survive ghost hunts. As I'm recording this, there are currently 23 ghosts in the game, all with different traits and evidence trails to learn from. However, there's an update planned soon to add a 24th ghost, the Ravager, so I'll be going over their traits as well to the best of my ability. I'm currently level 80 with over 200 ghosts identified, so these tips will be mostly based upon my experience playing, although a few are sourced from others' experiences. Additionally, I will briefly go over the evidence that each ghost leaves behind for those who play with evidence, though I will be mostly going in depth on ghost behaviors for those looking to play without evidence, or those simply learning more about the ghost behaviors. Finally, let's get into it. Starting with Aswang. In the Aswang journal entry, it states that it has evidence of EMF level 5, ghost riding, and wither. Aswangs do increase 20% of their speed per kill, unique kills, so if you get revived and die again, that won't count towards the speed increase. Every time they cross salt, disturbed or not, they will slow. So that is the most primary piece of evidence I've noticed that I can identify Aswang through, is if they slow down when they're going through salt, that's how you know it's an Aswang. Number 2, the Banshee. In the journal entry, Banshees state that they have evidence of freezing temps, ghost orb, and handprints. In my own experience, Banshees tend to break glass very often. If you notice that the glass is breaking before even the first hunt happens, that's often a good sign that it could be a Banshee. The Banshee also has high chance to wail instead of screaming when beginning a hunt. I've also personally noticed that the Banshee tends to be female, although that's not set, it can also be male as well. And with number 3, we're moving on to Demon. In the journal entry, demons state as having the evidence of EMF level 5, freezing temps, and handprints. Demons hunt at 85% sandy or lower, and they hunt frequently. The biggest piece of evidence that I've noticed that demon has is that they make crosses float every time that they burn them. This is unlike any other ghost, as the other ghosts can only levitate the crosses if they're participating in a levitating ghost event, which levitates all the other items along with the cross. So if you notice that no other items are floating, but that the burned crosses float every single time, it's definitely a demon. At number 4, we have the Dullahans. Dullahans have the evidence of freezing temps, laser projector, and wither. Dullahans increase speed in line of sight, but the speed resets once the line of sight is lost. The biggest hint for them, though, is that they are headless in photos. Something I've noticed that does help, since it is harder to take pictures of ghosts during hunt, is if you spam "show yourself" in the chat, the ghost often shows itself to you. You can take that photo pretty easily, and then you can see if it has a head or not. If it doesn't, it's a Dullahan. For number 5, we have the Dybbuk. Dybbuks have evidence of freezing temps, handprints, and wither. However, the biggest hint that Dybbuks have is that they're able to throw corpses. So if you're playing with multiple people and you see that the corpses have been thrown across the room, it's definitely a Dybbuk. However, be aware that objects can move corpses, so be careful and make sure it's an obvious throw and not just the body glitching out or something else moving it. At number 6, we have the Entity. The Entity has evidence of handprints, laser projector, and spirit box. Admittedly, Entity is one of those ghosts that I still struggle with identifying because its teleporting ability is so infrequent or non-obvious. Entities do have the ability to teleport items, and these items leave a poof of smoke behind if you're quick enough to see it, though the smoke usually only lasts a couple seconds, so it is very hard to spot. They can teleport items while hunting and outside of hunts. Entities during hunts will rarely throw items, but when it does spam a lot of throws at once. So if you notice that the ghost is pretty calm and then all of a sudden starts throwing a ton of items, Entity could be the culprit. At number 7, we're moving on to Ghoul. Ghouls have evidence of freezing temps, ghost orbs, and spirit box. They can become enraged if they hear talking. However, I believe the biggest piece of evidence is that they are unable to disable electronics. However, keep in mind that the EMF is still affected by this, so don't take that into consideration if you're thinking it's a ghoul. How I identify ghouls the easiest is I take out my video camera. If I notice there's no fuzz when the ghost is passing near me, it has to be a ghoul. At number 8, we have Keres. The Keres evidence consists of handprints, spirit box, and wither. Keres targets one player, which is the one with the lowest energy. If you're on 0% energy from the start, that'll be a random player that just happens to be at the house when it hunts. If it kills that target, it will move on to the next one, given that you have the setting enabled where hunts can continue to occur once a kill is done. The speed drop always by 10% every unique kill, and Keres will always be female. So if you see the ghost model is a male, it is not Keres. Something important to note is that if you're playing with multiple players, some players can even cross in front of the ghost and even potentially touch it without getting killed if they are not Keres' target. At number 9, we have Leviathan. Leviathans have the evidence of ghost writing, handprints, and ghost orbs. They can also disable lights passively. A big hint that I've noticed that Leviathans do is they throw multiple objects at once, which creates a unique sound. I kind of compare it to a lightsaber sound that I'll play right now. However, in the future, its ability will be given to Ravager and replaced from being able to throw multiple objects to being able to flicker nearby electronic equipment on and off. So take this with a grain of salt depending when you're watching this video, as this change may have already been put into effect. Moving on to number 10, we have the Nightmare. Nightmares have evidence of EMF level 5, ghost orbs, and spirit box. It causes auditory hallucinations. Auditory being that it's only sounds such as glass breaking without glass actually breaking, or the sound of objects dropping without it actually dropping. There's no visual hallucinations, it's all audible, so it's a bit difficult to identify the signals of Nightmare. However, it does have an increased hunt probability in the dark, so if you notice it starts to hunt less when you turn the lights on, chances are it could be Nightmare. Next, for number 11, we're moving on to Onis. Onis have the evidence of freezing temps, laser projectors, and spirit box. Onis do sprint during hunts, so they have audibly rapid footsteps. They also have a higher chance of manifestation ghost events, aka when the ghost pops up and scares you. Onis tend to do that more often. Onis are faster than the other ghosts, so if you notice you're having a hard time keeping up with escaping the ghost during a hunt or looping it, it could be an Oni. However, keep in mind that Onis are not as fast and they do not sound as fast as Wendigos on 0% sanity. So it's kind of that in-between ghost. If you notice it's fast, but you can still escape it, then probability is it could be Oni. At number 12, we have the Phantom. Phantoms have the evidence of EMF level 5, handprints, and ghost orbs. Phantoms do have slower blinks than all the other ghosts, and they are faster while invisible between those blinks. So if you notice the ghost happens to be really speedy while it's invisible, and it's kind of hard to see and make out between blinks, then potentially it could be a phantom. There are also a possibility of occasional extra visibility time during the hunts. So if you notice kind of irregular blinking, chances are it is a phantom. At number 13, we have Revenant. Revenants have evidence of EMF level 5, freezing temps, and ghost writing. It also has a significant shorter cooldown for its hunts than the other ghosts. So if you notice it's hunting very frequently, chances it could be a Revenant. The most telltale sign it's a Revenant is that it stops hunt after every kill, despite the difficulty or the settings. No matter what, Revenants will always stop the hunt when they kill someone. If you're ever stuck between two ghosts, one of them being Revenant, go ahead and let the ghost catch you and listen closely to the audio. If you hear the ghost stop hunting as soon as it captures you, then it's a Revenant. Moving on to number 14, we have the Shadow. Shadows have evidence of EMF level 5, ghost writing, and laser projectors. The biggest telltale sign that it's shadow is that they decrease temps really slowly. So if you notice on your temperature gun that it's decreasing the temps by decimals instead of full degrees, or that the temp is not getting below 9 to 10 degrees Celsius, then chances could be that it's a shadow. Activity and hunt frequency also decrease when in the light. So if you notice that when you turn the lights off, they're becoming more active, it could be a shadow. Moving on to number 15, we have Siren. Sirens have the evidence of EMF level 5, Spirit Box, and Wither. Sirens slow any player in its line of sight. So if you notice you're slowing down a lot during hunts and you're struggling to run or walk, chances are it could be a siren. Sirens hum in the Spirit Box when you have evidence enabled. However, keep this in mind, this response may not occur if you're playing zero evidence runs. Sirens are also always female, so they will never have a male ghost model. For number 16, we're moving on to Skinwalker. Skinwalkers have the evidence of freezing temps, ghost riding, and Spirit Box. However, please keep in mind that Skinwalkers do often fake ghost orbs, so you can count that within their evidence. It's most obvious to me during no evidence round when it's a Skinwalker, because there are no ghost orbs that are supposed to appear, yet it still fakes the ghost orbs within 0 evidence rounds. So if you're playing on 0 evidence, you notice a ghost orb, it's definitely Skinwalker. Skinwalkers can also alter flames, teleport, walk through walls, and all of our traits pretty much, in a means to imitate the other ghosts. At number 17, we have Specter. Specters have evidence of EMF level 5, freezing temps, and laser projector. Specters have a higher probability of throwing items. They also don't wander outside of ghost rooms, excluding when it's hunting. So if you use your handy dandy LiDAR scanner and you notice that the ghost is not roaming apart from when it's hunting, it's often a Specter. At number 18, we have Spirit. Spirits have the evidence of ghost writing, handprints, and Spirit Box. Spirits can change candle flames to blue, but it is a rarer occurrence. They also deplete energy quicker when you're not playing 0 evidence rounds. The biggest hint that Spirit has is that it turns holy oil flames blue 100% of the time. So if you lay down holy oil and during a hunt it doesn't change flame colors, then it's often not a spirit. Coming in at number 19, we have Umbras. Umbras have evidence of handprints, ghost orbs, and laser projectors. Umbras do move slower in lit rooms, so if you notice the ghost is moving slower with the light on, it could be an Umbra. The biggest hint, though, for Umbras is that they don't make audible footsteps. Unlike other ghosts where you can hear their footsteps, Umbras make no footstep sounds, and that is exclusive to them only. For number 20, we have the Vex. Vex have evidence of freezing temps, ghost orbs, and wither. Vex cannot be seen on LiDAR scanners, so if you know the room that the ghost is currently in, and you do a scan and there's no dots, it's likely a Vex. Vex can also walk through walls, so be very careful around these ghosts, as they're pretty dangerous. However, they can't walk through furniture, so you can still loop them like any other ghost, as they can't walk through any countertops, couches, and things such as that. At number 21, we have the Wendigo. Wendigos have evidence of ghost writing, ghost orbs, and laser projectors. Wendigos on 0% sanity are the fastest ghosts in the game. So if you notice that they have very fast footsteps and they're very rapid on, I would say 30% sanity or lower, then it's likely a Wendigo. However, at 100% sanity, the sounds sound like a regular ghost, so please keep this in mind if you're playing with sanity enabled. Flames do prevent the Wendigo from hunting, though I've noticed this can be buggy. I have had Wendigos that do hunt near flames, so take this with a grain of salt. However, the Wendigos are more likely to interact with and extinguish candles. At number 22, we have one of my personal favorite ghosts, the Wisps. The Wisps have Ghost Orb, Laser Projector, and Wither. They can only start a hunt in their favorite room, and they can also roam and light candles on their own. If you notice a candle has been lit without you lighting it, it's likely the Wisp. Wisp can also walk through holy oil fire, and they will catch fire while doing so. So it's very obvious if the Wisp walks through fire. At number 23, the last ghost that is currently in the game at this point in time, we have the Wraith. Wraiths have evidence of EMF level 5, laser projector, and spirit box. They also quickly deplete energy from hunters, along with the spirit. However, their biggest hint is that they don't disturb salt. So if you lay down a salt line and you notice during a hunt that the ghost steps onto the salt but there are no footprints in the salt line, it's definitely a Wraith. For our 24th and final ghost, we have the Ravager. The Ravager is a ghost that has not yet been submitted to the game as of recording this video, so please take this with a grain of salt, as I'm simply taking this information from the wiki and from what developers have said. Its evidence is said to be EMF level 5, ghost writing, and spirit box. It's said to have inherited its traits from Leviathan, though I don't know if it will inherit that same sound that Leviathans make when throwing double objects at once. All abilities, however, will leave behind EMF level 5 evidence, and it will have a chance of creating a vortex which pulls nearby objects into a tornado around itself. However, this pull will not affect the players. So those are all the current ghosts in Demonology. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful for you. If you have any more tips or tricks or any comments to share, please let me know down below. In the meantime, I'll catch you later. Peace.